A very good afternoon. My name is Denver Kisting. It's time for the NMH Daily COVID-19 update. My co-host today is none other than Ms. Octavia Tsibes. Good afternoon, Octavia.
Good afternoon, Denver.
I'm very happy that we're maintaining social distancing. So I'm proud of you and I'm proud of myself and I'm proud of both of us. But first things first, let's sanitize, Octavia. Octavia, it's been an incredibly busy time. It's been a super hectic time.
Definitely.
How are you holding up?
I must say, Denver, that people are saying this feels like a big movie. So for me, I'm just taking care of my well-being, of course, especially mental wellness. And of course, like they're saying, wash your hands, social distancing. I'm taking good notes. I'm taking good care of myself and taking note of all those.
And all we can do, Octavia, is taking it one step at a time, not even one day at a time, just one moment at a time. What we do know is over the past weekend, after the regulations came into force Saturday afternoon, President Adolf Kaure, as the first citizen, paid a visit to some of the suburbs in Katutura in the capital. Because the two regions affected by the lockdown, as announced Friday afternoon, and which came into effect on Saturday, are of course Khomas and Erongo. And although there's been a lot of criticism against the head of state, I see it's also happening elsewhere where citizens are criticizing their government about the way it's been dealt with. But there was also some praise for President Kaure for investigating, for going onto the ground, and he was not even wearing a suit, and seeing whether or not people comply with these regulations. Do they understand them? What is it that they can do about it?
Yeah, I've noticed that too, and it's good to see that government officials are executing what they're saying they would do. So it was good to see President Kaure in the streets and really seeing if it's being executed and people are actually doing what they have to do to protect themselves.
Yeah, it's about walking the talk. One of the challenges that we did see in the regions, especially in Khomas, we need food, and trucks that were transporting essentials such as food at both Sea Ice to the east of Windhoek and also at the Tropic of Capricorn, Octavia, south of Rehoboth, had challenges to be allowed through the roadblocks. Now, what I saw myself, I visited the roadblock at the Tropic of Capricorn, and truck drivers were expected to have their temperatures taken and to be sanitized. But what they were uncertain about, and that gave rise to a very serious bone of contention, was whether or not, when they transport these essential goods to Windhoek ultimately, whether they would need to be placed in quarantine. And many may or may not have traveled into Khomas region from an affected area or an area that's not affected. A high-level interministerial meeting was held in the capital yesterday to try and solve these issues. But what we also know is something can be solved in the boardroom, Octavia, but whether or not the message filters through to the ground, to the officer at the roadblock having to enforce that remains to be seen.
It's very, Denver, I must tell you, it's like you were saying, it's one thing to discuss something in a boardroom, but to execute, and it's communication being done. So the two of us sit in a boardroom, we discuss what has to be done, but do the people that's sitting at the roadblocks know that this has to be implemented?
Absolutely. What I'm very happy about, we see a number of large corporates coming to the table, the COVID-19 table, and putting their money where their mouths are. MTC on Saturday donated a total of 100,000 Namibia dollars towards the reconnection of water, especially in the capital. We do know that there is concern surrounding informal settlements. What we don't want to have, and that's part of why we have a lockdown, is for COVID-19 to hit our informal settlements. Because then we are in real big trouble. So it's great that a corporate like MTC has joined government and extended the efforts that are already in place.
We cannot do this alone. I mean, we need to hold our hands and work together.
Absolutely.
So really,
it needs to be a collaborative effort. We're also grateful for our colleagues who are keeping us up to date from across the country in the different regions, just to inform us how the community is receiving the news about, firstly, a state of an emergency and now a lockdown, whether or not they're adhering and what the concerns are. So let's take a look at those clips. We also try and get an update from the Ministry of Health and Social Services or from State House about the latest figures, because people however much they might be in lockdown, however much they might be working from home, they also want to know what is the latest figure.
Yeah.
And the latest figure that we have as per the 29th of March 2020, which was yesterday, is that a total of 11 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Namibia have been reported, and also about 34 negative results have been reported.
Yeah.
We still know that there's a challenge relating to people who get tested through state institutions, the Institute of Pathology specifically. Those results are at the disposal of the Ministry of Health authorities right away. But if you visit a private health facility and you get tested, those tests are sent to South Africa, and then it takes a bit longer, firstly, for those results to reach the Ministry of Health and Social Services.
Yeah.
What we also know is that, and that's part of the challenge, that they don't communicate results that come back as negative to the Ministry of Health. Because you can imagine our message throughout is that we shouldn't create a lot more panic,
Yeah.
that we should try and ease the emotions. But it's difficult also for government to remain up to speed about how many people have been tested, which have come back as positive, those they're informed about accordingly, and which relate to the negative results, just to keep track about how many people are we testing, what does the situation look like on the ground.
Yeah. No, I take note of it. And it is a challenge. I mean, it's something that we are facing, but like you're saying, we need to update the people, we need to keep these people calm. Of course, the people out there should also be patient with the government, and we need to follow and be up to date.
What we also know is that other experiences in terms of other jurisdictions have shown that after lockdown procedures are in place, the figure will keep on going up. Then people might wonder, but is the lockdown not effective?
Yeah.
Well, those could be people who were infected before the lockdown. Those could be people who were asymptomatic before the lockdown and only started displaying symptoms later onwards and were as a result tested later. Or, they were awaiting test results at the time that the lockdown was announced.
Yeah.
I think we experienced a bit of a challenge earlier to connect with our colleagues in the regions, but we should be ready to connect with them now. So let's take a look.
As we all know that we are in the lockdown period here in Walvis Bay, I would like to urge the youth of Walvis Bay to remain in their homes. Please do not be ignorant, but let us be responsible citizens. Let us go out if it's really necessary. If not, let us stay indoors. I would also like to encourage you all to maintain hygiene and sanitation. If you got your mask, put on your mask, sanitize your hands. If you cough, preferably cough on your elbow. Please also let us use this time to study. It's very important for those of us who are in school. Let us use this time for self-development, personal development, look at different issues in our life that we can adjust after this time that we are in currently. I would like to urge everyone, let us not fear, let us not panic, but let us remain within the guidelines, and this will be over as soon as possible. I am very, very positive that we shall be victorious. Keep blessed. God bless you all.
Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth Joseph, reporting for Namibia Media Holdings, and as you can see behind me is the Central Hospital, the Windhoek Central Hospital, and it is completely empty. It is very quiet, and as a matter of fact they're busy with renovations, so there's absolutely no one in there except the people renovating the hospital.
We will be trading normal hours because we are essential retailers, but there are a few products like color cosmetics, fragrance and earrings and stuff, jewelry, accessories that we will not be selling over the lockdown period. But our hours remains the same, weekdays, Monday to Friday, 8 to 7, Saturdays 8 to 5, and public holidays and Sundays it's 8 to 3. That's it. The only challenge we are sitting is the delay in stock delivery. We are running out very fast due to the high volumes the customers are shopping. Sales wise, haven't affected the sales. It's just the fact that people buy bulk. We made a little bit more than expected, but due to the fact that there's a delay in the trucks coming in, we run low on especially the personal care essential products. Yeah, so yeah, that's actually the only impact it has.
Sit down. Watch it.
Yeah. Now other subject. Just
Did you make it yourself?
Taken a number of infection prevention measures and are busy preparing a facility to respond to possible COVID-19 infections in the region. This is a call for both the public and private sector. I'm pleased to know that the business community has joined hands with the government in order to contain the disease. And I wish therefore to extend our gratitude to the following stakeholders for their immense contributions. Ongodiva Town Council for availing Ongodiva Trade Fair Center, where we are here right now, for the usement of patient management. Dr. Erastus Shapumba under the Chico brand, donating 100,000 Namibian dollars toward the national account for disaster risk management and mitigations against COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you, Doctor, for doing that. And we hope other business community will follow suit. And also, Dr. Erastus Shapumba also availed bedroom house in Ongodiva town for COVID-19 cases. And that house number is 3508. So please, I want you to take note of this. The house is only for COVID management, not for COVID patient management. That should be taken note of. Please, we know it's in a residential area, and we do not have a call center. We do not have a management area where we can meet for purposes. And all the necessary arrangements shall be done. Are we together, please?
Vote of thanks for what has been done to us as Namibians, not us as Oshana acting, but to us as Namibians. We have followed all these days, we have observed what has been happening in the world, and what is happening in the world, in other parts of the world, we are not immune to it, that it cannot happen to us. Whatever we are seeing happening in Europe, whatever we are seeing happening in Asia, it can as well come to us in Africa, and it can even land here in Namibia. We have started already, although we have not reached the level where we are seeing other people are currently. I'm just happy to see that we are ready, like our mind is ready. That is what I mean. Because if you have a business person who is able to donate or to avail his own property to be used in public, for a public purpose, for public benefit. And this is something inclusive in property, like a house for 10 rooms, plots to be used for some other purposes. I read something like a crack, I don't know whether it's going to be anymore. So it's something which is really commendable.
Welcome back. This is the Daily Namibia Media Holdings COVID-19 update. Today is the 17th episode. Octavia, what did you make from what we saw about what's happening in the regions?
I'm very excited to see that what the Junior Mayor, His Worship Kaure, was saying regarding the youth and what they need to do in this lockdown. It is very important for us and the young people to utilize this time, especially to read, watch YouTube videos on different tutorials on how to solve certain things. And of course, like, we use our social media to connect with one another, to ask questions, to video call. So I think that we should utilize our time wisely and stay off Netflix. And the other thing that also stood out for me was what the governor of Oshana was saying, and again it's what we were discussing before, is for corporates to come together and just not rely on the government. So I see that it's all over, it's happening all over. Imagine that Oshana's not even on lockdown, but see what they're doing. So I think more regions should come on board, more people should come on board to help the government regarding this.
Very well. You spoke of a movie earlier, that it feels like we are in this movie. What stood out for me was Elizabeth's video about what's happening at the Windhoek Central Hospital, where we know the isolation unit for COVID-19 patients is also being housed. The spooky, very quiet corridors in a normally very busy hospital. And we do know that trade, even on a micro level, has been very severely affected. Those vendors outside the gate of the Windhoek Central Hospital, where one usually buys some fruit or some sweets, there's nothing happening there.
Yeah, I noticed that also. It's like you're saying, like I was saying before, it feels like a movie, and to see that it's actually happening. Like, you'd always go to Central Hospital, you always go visit somebody, and you see it's always busy. There are taxis and there are people there, and to see that it's empty. Yes, of course, the impact it has, but also to see that people do listen. And they did what they were told to do.
Absolutely.
And there was nobody selling their fruits.
Indeed. I was also happy to see that Namibians are such warm people. I think it was Esther who visited Mr. G's home shop in Windhoek, and the warm reception with which the sanitizing part is being dealt with. And that's beautiful, and that's why it's such a privilege to be living in this wonderful country of ours.
True.
So we'd also like to thank those viewers tuned in from all over. We understand there's in fact someone from Uganda tuned in at the moment, from Otapi, from elsewhere in the Erongo region, as well as Ondangwa, Oshana village. So please tune in as you do and share these broadcasts. We're doing our best to keep you updated with the latest information as it unfolds. We also spoke to our colleague Adolf Kaure. He's based in the Erongo region, and as we said earlier, this is one of the two regions affected by the initial lockdown. President Hage Geingob was of course clear that the countrywide lockdown is imminent. But Adolf tells us a bit about his experience as a journalist operating in Erongo. Let's take a look.
As we all know that we are in the lockdown period here.
Of course, Octavia, so what we do know is that although the countrywide lockdown is imminent, at this stage only the Erongo and Khomas regions are affected. So joining us on the line from the Erongo region is our colleague Adolf Kaure. Good afternoon, Adolf.
Good afternoon, Denver. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you holding up?
I'm holding up very well. Just doing my usual tasks here, informing the public about the COVID-19 pandemic.
Very well. So please give us an update about what's happening in the Erongo region at the moment in the face of the countrywide state of emergency, but also in the face of the lockdown affecting Erongo specifically.
Yes, as we know, the governor of the Erongo region, Cleophas Mushavikwa, announced during a press conference last week that there will be a partial lockdown here in the Erongo region, as he communicated the head of state's message. And basically, many of the things that he has told the public during this conference was just that he instructed the municipal councils as well as the local authorities to open, to reconnect the water, because as we know, a lot of people's water was cut down, and we know that sanitation and water is very crucial in mitigating the COVID-19, and especially when it comes to the washing of hands and so on. And basically, he also announced that nobody is allowed to travel past the border of Erongo, but within the border, and as well as other precautionary measures.
How has this news been received by the communities in Erongo? We're talking about townships like DRC and Swakopmund, for example. What has the response been according to your sense?
Well, I've been driving around in the weekend, the first 2 days of the partial lockdown, and it seems like in the DRC informal settlement on the first day, everyone was just going about their lives as usual, as if no lockdown was implemented or announced, and you could even see that some of the precautionary measures like the social distancing was not really being adhered to. People were buying kapana and they was literally standing on top of each other, and I don't know if it's a lack of knowledge or ignorance in some of these townships, or whether information has been disseminated to these people to know, so that they know that what they have to do in terms of the lockdown. Moving on to Saturday and Sunday, it has been a little bit more quiet, especially in Mondesa and in town. The kapana stands were empty, the barber shops are closed, the salons are closed, the cafes are closed. Even today the cafes are closed, the beach is completely empty. 6 o'clock basically at night or in the evening, people are indoors, and you can also see that some shops are only allowing 10 people at a time in the shops, which is a measure also to make sure that there is enough social distancing within the shop.
Very well, Adolf. Octavia is generally very concerned about the well-being of the youth, and I'm sure she has a question relating to that.
All right.
Adolf, I just wanted to find out, how are the young people responding to this official lockdown that was stated by the president? Usually it started now, but they were meeting in groups to discuss and of course to do peer teaching to prepare for their exams. How are they responding to this lockdown?
Well, the young people, as we may know them as the born frees also, what I have really observed mostly about them is just their interactions on different social media platforms as well, platforms like WhatsApp, and there has really been a lot of, if I can say, misinformation, and people really creating a lot of panic on WhatsApp, sending voice notes and so on, which is basically communicating the wrong message, communicating the wrong statistics of how many people are affected with the virus in the Erongo region. As we know, there is only one case in the Erongo region of someone that tested positive, which is in Omaruru, but most of these voice notes, people are really creating fear and panic, saying that there are thousands of people affected or that tested positive and so on. And basically, what the youth and what the governor told us at the press conference is also that we as the media should really communicate factual information and not to create fear. And as well as the public really needs to get the information from the right people, and the toll-free number that they need to call in order to get the information is 0800 100 100, or they should visit their nearest health facility or dial 911. So in terms of the youth, I think there is still a lot of catching up in terms of gaining knowledge on what the pandemic is all about.
Adolf, you already touched on 10 as the number of people allowed to be together at one given time. We also know that this also relates to funerals and weddings, all types of gatherings, not only when people shop for essentials. How has that news been received by the communities? We do know that in many communities, a funeral is an important space where we, not only display sympathy, but also connect with one another. Has that had an impact?
Well, basically some people have adhered to it, and some people, because they have already spent the money that they needed to, for let's say a 21st birthday party, some people have gone along and celebrated this their birthday parties. Some have gone to their funerals basically, and a lot of people are basically saying, well, if the head of state can get inaugurated while there is 400 people in attendance, this is basically, he's not really leading by example, so why should they also listen to this? And so the people have gone on with their funerals and their birthday parties. Well, when it comes to weddings, a lot of people have postponed, but I think there is also when it comes to leadership, I think the head of state did make a mistake to go ahead with the 30th celebration of independence by having such a very high attendance in people at the occasion.
Adolf, thank you very much for the update, and please stay safe and keep us updated.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to our colleague Adolf Kaure there at the coast. Of course, the head of state under fire again, Octavia. But I think it's important to also state that the official independence celebrations to commemorate 30 years of independence in the land of the brave, which was scheduled to take place at the Independence Stadium on Saturday the 21st of March, that was called off. So what happened in the end at State House, and what is factually true, there were quite a number of people, was the official inauguration of President Hage Geingob, as well as the Vice President, the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister. And the President, in fact, had to respond to a question last week too, and I'm sure we'll talk about that for quite some time still. I'd like to say that, Octavia, it seems like the internet is enjoying a blue Monday. So if you are experiencing challenges with the internet and it affects the broadcast, we'd like to apologize. And if you can attend to your connection, hopefully it'll go smoother.
Yeah. I also just want to make a comment on what Adolf said regarding the question for the youth, saying that there's so much fake news going on and so forth. Young people, you should be careful what you read on the internet. That goes for young adults and also for the adults themselves. We should be careful of what we share. We should make sure what we tell the people, especially on social media. It's very important. The spread of fake news will never end, but we can control it. So young people, please do take care of that.
Let's contain the spread of coronavirus, but also the spread of fake news.
Yes.
It's a double responsibility that we have.
Yes.
Octavia, I'm not a parent, and you're also not a parent. But I can imagine that many parents are frustrated at home with their children, realizing that it wasn't actually the teacher's fault. It may have been the child's fault. But to help you cope at home as a parent with your kids, we've got some very valuable tips. So please stay tuned for that. Welcome back, Octavia. Kids are super special, but they're also incredibly hard work. What do you make of the time that parents have with their kids and how they can use that optimally?
I mean, this whole situation of being at home and you can't move from your house, I mean, it's also a time for you to bond with your child. And it's also a time for aunt and uncle to bond with their nephew or their niece. So I think all these tips that we have and the NMH provides, I mean, there's so much that we can do together and that we can have fun and laugh and try over again and cut out this feet and these hands. And I mean, my newspapers at home will go to good use, I mean, to entertain them.
Absolutely. On the one hand, you want to keep them busy as constructively as possible, but you'd also like to help them burn some energy so that they nap, that you can is this actually the person I got married to?
No,
I don't
really.
know you.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
No, we had this conversation, I think, yesterday, and they were saying there's so much that you could. I mean, the what is it? The soccer that's called up. There's nothing happening that you can keep yourself busy on TV. So now we are going to be in each other's faces. So it's an interesting time, especially for the people that's married and the newlyweds. So yeah, let's see what's going to come out of this lockdown.
Yeah, and as much as we believe many will struggle, many might emerge with more resilience after the lockdown period.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm personally concerned about, I'm ordinarily a runner. I know after a few days it already doesn't look like it because I haven't been running. And there are people at home spending a lot of time on their couches.
Yeah.
So we share a few tips with them to hear and see what it is that you can do to remain as fit and as healthy as possible.
Hi everybody, my name is Crystal and I just caught up on my daily read. I just read the Christmas. If you'd like to read the